taking you to a presentation that was done at the CDC, and I don't know the speaker's name, but he's really hilarious.
The EIS officer is in an autopsy room in Detroit during the 1976 swine flu campaign that Ann introduced us to.
Notice he said the swine flu campaign. What is this? What is this? Is this a political party, the swine flu political party campaign? He is funny. He is so coherent, and you'll be able to follow his every word. But if you're like me, you'll start laughing and laughing and laughing at this expert. These are your experts, people, who are telling you all about these hoax viruses. The virus is the Ebola virus, supposedly discovered in a remote place, Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly Zaire. Now listen to how coherent he is and how clear and precise he is.
To see whether the patient, the person who died, had swine flu or had a complication following swine flu vaccination. So he walks out of the room and says, "There's a phone call from Atlanta for you," and Lyle Conrad's on the end of the line, who is chief of field services, and said, "Joel, I was that EIS officer. There's a terrible epidemic going on in Northwest, at that time Zaire, and we don't know what's going on. Calls come in to the embassy and then to CDC, and the government has asked CDC to..."
Well, let's send in a real knucklehead like you.
Participate. And I said, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" He said, "Well, we know very little information. Only 100% of the villages are infected. 100% of the people in the villages..."
He said, "We know very little information. Only 100% of the people are infected. We know very little information, but 100% of the people are infected.
Are sick, and all those people have died." He said, "Do you want to go for just a few days?" That's how CDC
Of course it's funny, because it's all BS. This man is high on something. Okay, keep with it now. He's actually very funny. You got to get his sense of humor here.
For those of you who don't know, just a few days to find out. And I said, "Well, you know, I've lived in Africa." He said, "We know you've lived in, that's why we're calling you. You speak French." And
he's very fluent in French.
"We'd like you to go with someone from the laboratory." And by the way, there's a concurrent epidemic in South Sudan. We don't know what's going on. So a glutton for adventure. I go home, talk with my wife and two small kids. They couldn't talk much of that. But my wife said, "I know you're a glutton for..."
Yeah, talk to the kids. I know you're a glutton for adventure. Because it's all BS. It's an adventure in BS.
Didn't like adventure. And I said, "Also, I have never been to Zaire." So anyway, I called all around to find out what could be going on. And they said, "Well, you're going to..." First of all, they said, "You're going to Pat Webb from the laboratory, who you had been introduced to." So I had 2 or 3 conversations with Pat, and then I called all around. A number of people said, "What could be going on in Africa?" At that time, CDC didn't know much about Africa at that time in the 70s, other than those of us who had worked on smallpox eradication. And so they said, "Well, the visas have come through. You're ready to roll." And just before I left, I get a call.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Carl Johnson.
There it is. There it is. Okay, don't you see it? I showed it in another video. There's your 6s. Looky. 6, 6, There's your 7 or your hook, your Zion. And basically, what does this form right here? What kind of a symbol is that? What kind of a symbol is this? It's all nonsense. Okay, the Marburg virus is the same as the Ebola virus. Those are the same diagrams for the Ebola virus. It's nonsense.
And we met at JFK in New York. He said, I'm going because Dr. Sensor has concluded this is so hot and growing, because messages had come in, and there's a great amount of disorder in the capital of Kinshasa, that we want to send the chief of the lab to go with you. So Carl at JFK shows me this virus, which you've seen, very important photomicrograph that Fred Murphy had taken. And I said, well, nothing kills 100%. Maybe rabies, but not so many.
Nothing kills 100%. Maybe rabies. Rabies is probably a big hoax too, people. I've been thinking about that for quite some time. Another hoax, rabies.
People has been reported, but even though it had been one survivor from rabies. So anyway, we're on the airplane with 17 packages, and we arrive in Kinshasa, picked up by the U.S. Embassy, and immediately taken to FOMETRO, which is the Belgian Center for Medical Activities. They've been there over 100 years in the former Congo. In sitting around the table were people from a variety of countries and from WHO, and we were told the city is in turmoil because now 2 nuns had come in to Kinshasa from the epidemic area. Both of them had died.
Two nuns have come into the city, so it's in turmoil because 2 nuns came into the city. The city's in turmoil now because 2 sisters or 2 nuns came into the capital city of Kinshasa in Democratic Republic of Congo, which was formerly called Zaire. The whole city's in a turmoil. The nuns came.
And a Zairean nurse who had taken care of one of the nuns herself is sick and in the hospital. And the Minister of Health, Dr. Kinkela, says, speaking around to the table, the airplane is ready to take the team out to the epidemic area and to tell us more about what's going on. So Carl, who still doesn't speak any French, but was following this, I'm translating as best I can. I said, Carl, these people are...
I'll bet he's a good translator because he's very coherent. All his thoughts tied together so extremely well.
Really organized here. A team is going out, we're going to learn, go to the hospitals and the patients. Everyone's looking at Carl and me. We were the people to go out to the field. And by the way...
Well, he's got to have a laugh because he's just making this up as he goes along.
Leave your 17 cartons of scientific equipment here. So, simultaneously, Carl and I said, no way, we've got to find out what's going on. The embassy, ours and others are hollering. And then the minister says, something has to be done. Now, on that airplane...
Something has to be done.
Kinshasa, actually Geneva, was one Bill Close. Anyone here of Bill Close? No Bill Close? Several people. Bill Close had come to Zaire in 1961. Anyway, ultimately became president of Hutu's personal physician, ran the Mamiemo Hospital, had been a mentor to Dr. Kinkela, the Minister of Health, And Bill, on the airplane, sat with us and said, I will help during the event. He was now director of the largest hospital at that time in Africa. So he said, we met the right guy, and that was prescient. Anyway, the minister said, you got to do something. The next day, I'm on an airplane with Pierre Servaux from France, Peter Piat, first mission to Africa from Belgium, André Coq from Zaire, and Jean-François Rupol from Belgium, who ran this mission, the Belgian mission, with 400 Belgian doctors around the country. Jean-François had been born there, spoke the languages. He was on the airplane with us. And here we are. In flying over the Congo River, going within 24 hours, I'm now on an airplane going off to the area. What were we supposed to do there?
What was I supposed to do there? Hey, Buster, you're supposed to be the expert. You're in this group here that everybody looks up to. You're the expert. What were we supposed to do there?
To find out actually how far this epidemic, whatever it was comprised of in signs and symptoms, how far it had spread out from this rural mission hospital, to find out if there were active cases, 3, if there were people who recovered, and 4, to find out if we could equip this rural mission hospital of 120 beds with adequate facilities to bring forward a treatment team, a surveillance, epidemiology team, a laboratory team to find out what's going on out there. And so then the airplane was supposed to come back and pick
a baseball team, a football team, a soccer team, a basketball team. You name it. Bring it out. Bring the teams out.
pick us up. So, having had some exposure to epidemiology and CDC, everyone said, yeah, that's good. Now what do we do? Well, I said, well, we go. Finally, they were talking to me. They had known I worked on smallpox and had some experience, field experience. And Carl quickly became the scientific director because he was renowned for discovering Venezuelan and Bolivian, Argentinian hemorrhagic fevers. And so he quickly became
the Bolivian, Argentinian hemorrhagic fever. He was the discoverer of it. He was the alchemist that created it. It's nonsense.
The scientific director. Now, here we are.
Oh, we're getting some pictures.
The Bumba zone. The villages are spread along these tropical roads. Navigation is not easy, and there is the mission, empty, barren, because everyone in that hospital, if they were still alive, had run away.
Everyone in the hospital, if they were still alive, they ran away. Everyone in the hospital, if they were still alive, they ran away. Come on, think about what he just said. Everybody in the hospital, if they were still alive, they ran away. Doctors included, I guess, nurses, custodians.
17 staff at the hospital. Of those, 13 had gotten the illness and 11 had died.
They ran away.
And obviously, it was hospital-centered because several of the patients who were there for other things now started getting this, what they call a hemorrhagic syndrome. There were 3 nuns and 1 priest left there, but
well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. He said everybody ran away. But now there's 3 nuns and a priest. Watch out for them nuns. Remember, they started it all in Concise because the nuns came in. They brought all the chaos to the capital city of Concise.
Had died. And they had a picture. The nuns showed us this picture on the right. Here are 4 sisters and a father who had died of this disease. 2 of them in Kinshasa, having been evacuated, and then one father there. And there are their graves in the lower left. So Sister Marcella, in front of all the beds, because they didn't know what it was, they exterminated the empty hospital, brought out all the mattresses to burn, and
now they just have bed frames in the hospital. You ever try to burn a mattress? Hey, have you ever tried to burn a mattress? Now I want to ask you, do they burn well? Huh? They just smolder and smolder and smolder and smolder.
They were very glum. So our initial plan, designed on the run, was for each 4 teams of us, as I described, to go north, south, east, and west, with a sister who spoke Lingala and some Butza.
That's the definition of news. North, east, west, and south. N-E-W-S. The lies of the devil going in all directions.
With us. And so for 3 days in a driving rain, under the conditions that you've seen, went from village to village. And I was struck early on in talking to some folks who said some well people had come to the hospital or come from a village and received an injection. And the injection was for whatever it was, aches and pains, particularly prenatal care. And then a week later, this syndrome had begun and they died. Well, that was unusual. I said, well, tell me about the needles and syringes. They said, well, a 120-bed hospital, several hundred people a day. We have 5 needles and syringes used in the outpatient, glass and metal. And, we just kept using the same one for each patient. And I said, well, sterilization? They said, well, we have soapy water in the pan at night. Unbelievable. So this, the hair in the back of the neck raised, and then when we started going to the villages, they
open up and say, ah. Let's pour some junk down your throat. Okay, here's the costumes right here. We see it everywhere right now. Costumes, costumes, costumes. Right?
nuns had gone giving prenatal care out to the villages, and the same story. You got an injection of calcium, vitamins, antibiotics in those days, and even now, injections are favored. So this is the second day I was out in the field, and here is a patient.
What was it, the first or the second? He doesn't know because he's making this up as he goes along.
This patient with Ebola. So we had to find what a probable case was, what a possible.
How does he know it's Ebola? It hasn't been named yet. They haven't decided on a phony name. But it's Ebola. He knows it.
Full case was, and of course a confirmed case would be one with immunofluorescent antibodies, because that was all that equipment was with it. So this 25-year-old gentleman was.
So they brought all this equipment out, and they somehow got these antibodies out of somebody, and they're fluorescent, right? Glow in the dark.
Belly pain, pharyngitis. He had conjunctivitis, and he had some bleeding from his rectum and around his gums. But his abdominal pain was very severe. So I talked to him, and of course we carried him, of course, but after a while we were carrying with us paracetamol, Tylenol, chloroquine and quinine, tetracycline, things that could cause this fever, headache, and unusual syndrome. There is pure civil in the personal protection equipment of the time, paper, mask, and gloves, but oppressively hot and humid. Very hard even to wear this stuff. And so this gentleman died the next day. Now,
That's characteristic of all these hoax viruses. You get it and you're dead within a day or two, and then the statistics are real high and above and beyond belief, just like you're seeing right now. All these statistics being thrown at you so quickly, and everything doubling and tripling in a matter of a day or two or three or whatever. I think I'm going to stop this because I can't take any more of it. But you see how coherent he was, and you see how clear and precise he was, and you see how educated he was, and you see how out of his mouth just came a bunch of nonsense, right? Now these are your experts, right? And they are running the show. And by show, I mean show. It is a show. It is a created script with a cast of characters and actors. And this particular individual lacks good acting skills. They may have kept him on because they needed a body. He may have been taking some drugs himself and just making up a bunch of nonsense because nothing seemed to be coherent or clear. And he would start one thought and go into another thought, and somehow you want to believe him because of these flags back here, and because he's at a podium, and because there's an audience there, and because the CDC name is on it, right? So you want to believe him. But break it down, people. Listen to the man talk. This isn't the way experts talk. This isn't the way highly educated people talk. This isn't the way somebody that's been in a real trauma situation talks, okay? He just talks like he's mumbling in a bar while he's drinking beer. Okay, well, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching, and this is the end of the video.